Greetings and welcome to this edition of
Positronic Hypersonic.
I'm Barry P. Cook, and I want to talk to you about the latest episode of Star Trek Lower Decks. It was called Parth Ferengi's Heart Place. As it starts, a pair of Ferengi are debating the efficacy of Grand Nagus Rom's new policy of only making profit from legitimate undertakings versus from things like selling weapons such as disruptors or portable Genesis devices before their ship is destroyed by the mystery ship. The Cerritos arrives alongside the Toronto at Ferenginar to get their application to the Federation going, as Ferenginar needs the benefits of Federation resources in the wake of its trade routes being disrupted by the mystery ship. At the same time, the lieutenants are tasked with visiting around Ferenginar for the purpose of updating Starfleet's travel guide for the planet, which I guess is used by Starfleet officers when they visit a planet. There's a travel guide. So that the travel guide can include information about how married couples are treated, Rutherford and Tendi are asked to pretend to be married, which gets them some VIP treatment at their hotel. Mariner, meanwhile, is oddly frustrated that her work life is going well now, as if she needs it to be frustrating in order to be happy, as BOIMLER sets out to see all the planet as soon as possible before finding himself very much sucked in by the equivalent of Ferengi television in his hotel. At the membership application signing, Nagus Rom and First Clerk Lita conspire to trick the captain and the commanding admiral of the Toronto into slanting the membership application toward Ferenginar and its benefit, with only the captain being aware of what's happening, despite her trying to clue the admiral into it. Rutherford and Tendi continue pretending to be together without going too far with it, and it's clear that they like each other, though they aren't saying so. Mariner visits a friend who takes her to a bar where she gets hammered and starts a bar fight, seemingly just because she's bored without the kind of craziness that she used to get into while deviating from orders, which she has no reason to do anymore since being promoted and working with a commanding officer who appreciates her work style and has given her a degree of latitude and duties suited to her style of service. Rutherford and Tendi go out to eat at Quark's Federation Experience restaurant, where the staff dresses in old-style Starfleet uniforms and the decor is full of various Star Trek set pieces and other Easter eggs that you can find out all about by watching the fantastic Sean Farrick from Trek Culture, link in the description, when he does his ups and downs video for this episode. After they're seated, they decide to just go back to behaving like their normal friend selves because of how tiring pretending to be a couple is, when the host comes over and explains that they're in for special treatment because they're a couple. And just as they're about to confess that they actually aren't, the host is alerted to the fact that another pair of guests in the restaurant have been found to be faking being a couple for the purpose of scamming the establishment out of a discount, which apparently is punishable by quite a severe penalty, at which point they obviously decide not to confess, and then get stuck participating in a sort of game where they eat chocolate statues of each other, while telling each other something they find attractive about the other person in between each bite, while sitting on chairs that can detect if they're lying. Mariner's friend bails her out of jail and calls her out on her crazy behavior of going crazy when there's no need to, and tells her that she needs to figure out what's eating her. Rutherford and Tendi successfully make it through the game, but are then told that they have to consummate their marriage right there in the restaurant from inside a pod shaped like a Federation shuttlecraft, where they can't be seen but can be heard from. But just as they're about to deal with that, Miglimoo shows up and blows their cover by calling them platonic friends, at which point they accuse him of trying to break up their marriage, which they then pretend to actually break up so that they can stop pretending to be in love, at which point the restaurant owner offers Miglimoo the homewrecker package. After getting a whole bunch of crazy concessions worked into it, Rom and Lita are ready to sign the membership application, but the captain manages to work in a final provision that tricks them into signing an application in which they actually don't get any of those crazy provisions, which prompts Rom and Lita to recognize that the captain was behaving like a Ferengi, which to Rom demonstrates that she appreciates their culture, causing him to agree to sign the standard application immediately, which he does. Before the episode ends, Ransom checks in with Mariner, who explains briefly what she got up to on the planet, which seems to puzzle him, at which point he checks in with Tendi and Rutherford, who tell him that pretending to be a married couple was exhausting because they don't have any natural chemistry, before proceeding to demonstrate the complete opposite is true, though they don't realize it. When next he inquires as to Boimler, we see that Boimler got way too engrossed in Ferengi TV to the point where he needed to be dragged out of his hotel room by the local authorities at the direction of Commander Ransom, who closes the episode by saying that he really likes Boimler. So I'm happy to say that I liked this episode quite a bit more than I've liked the last few. I thought that the story in this episode was very cute as it concerns Rutherford and Tendi, who are clearly in denial of that fact. And watching them repeatedly deny it to themselves and to each other, only to not be able to actually not have that chemistry when it comes down to it, when they engage in regular work activities, was very sweet, I thought. And I like the fact that they like each other. And I think it's cute that they sort of don't realize that they have chemistry, but that they do have chemistry. And I also liked the Mariner plot where, you know, and it's been building. It's not just been this episode. It's not out of the blue, where she kind of doesn't know what to do with herself now that she's sort of matured and changed and doesn't find herself in conflict naturally the way she used to before. And, you know, I think that's a testament to how far she's come since the first season. And, you know, I just thought it was good character development for her. And, you know, Boimler getting super engrossed in Ferengi TV was very funny as well. Because, you know, he notices that they lie to you right in the commercials and just can't tear himself away from it. So, you know, in typical Boimler fashion, you know, he does anything he does, he's all in, right? And to the extreme. And this was no different. So it was very funny. But yeah, I just felt that the story of this episode was actually very endearing and fun and, you know, relatable. And of course, you know, all the Ferengi jokes were great. You know, the jokes about how the Ferengi operate. And, you know, that of course includes the Federation themed restaurant, which of course is run by Quark, who wasn't in the episode though. And, you know, it was great to see Rom and Lita again and to watch them sort of run a game on the captain, the admiral, only to then not be able to actually put one over on the captain because she figured out what they were doing and how to play the game with them, which, you know, ultimately resolved the situation. So I thought this episode had a really good story that worked all the way around, which I didn't find to be the case with the last few episodes, though I have liked this show for a long time. It took a while to grow on me, but by the beginning or middle of season 2, I was really liking it. It's just that I found in the last half of the third season and the first half of this season that it had gotten a little bit too lazy and relied a little too much on just being goofy, where in this episode they actually, I thought, had some character development and a story progression. So I liked it quite a bit. But we still don't know what's going on with this crazy ship that keeps blowing up other races' ships. And that's a little disappointing because, you know, you'd like to think that over the course of the season, they're going to give you clues or hints or pieces here and there, which they really haven't done. It just keeps showing up and blowing up alien ships. So hopefully that changes soon. Otherwise, it's going to get kind of tired. But that's really it. I'm going to get out of here. I'll be back with another video soon. Until I return, I wish you peace and long life.